I'm gonna really quickly, or attempt to really quickly, teach some of the guitar parts for Emerson Laura Palmer's In Zagreb, because this song has been a very, very long time coming. We've been working on the song for, I think, at least a year and a half at this point, and I'm very proud of the way it came out, and I figured I'd show off some of the guitar parts that we've been working on for so long. So I'm gonna attach tabs so that I don't have to explain the chords, but I'll just kind of show off and explain how I play them and how they fit into the song as a whole. So that was what I just played there. That was the intro. And to talk about pedals really quick, I'll attach a picture too, but I've got an overdrive into a chorus, which are two like always on pedals for me. And I also have it going through a reverb that's very, very low in the mix and has a short tail so that it doesn't interfere with the fuzz when I hit the fuzz. But this song tends to react really well to reverb, especially the verse riff. So yeah, I've got overdrive, chorus, and a very, very like low, short tail, non-intrusive reverb. And then for the loud parts, I have a Big Muff that's kind of cranked. So like that's the normal tone, and then it's the fuzz tone, and you can hear the reverb kind of trailing off there. It's an Afterneath from Earthquaker, which I didn't have when we recorded this song, but I've been using it since I got it. So yeah, really quick, that opening riff, I'll include a tab for it, but that's with the Big Muff, and it's basically like the song is built around an F major 7th chord, and it's like I don't really know music theory, but it's like a 2-note thing that kind of simulates an F major 7. So it's an F on the A string, and then an E on the G string up here, and you play those together, it kind of has that like slightly dissonant, sad feeling that major 7th chords have. And I play that with the fuzz, and I bend the E up to an F, so you can kind of like, you get the sense that it's an F chord, but it has this like dissonant, sad thing going on. So I bend it up and then back, so it's like. So that's the first chord. Then I do the same thing, but I move like my middle finger up to the low E string and play a C. So now it's a C and an E, which is like the first 2 notes of a C major, so it's a little more happy sounding. And then when you bend to the F, you're bending to a C sus4, I think. So it's like, that's a major chord, and then you bend and it's like still a major chord, but it's that slightly funkier version of a major chord, so it's like. And then it's a B flat, so I keep this finger on the E here, but move usually my index finger on the low E to a B flat. So I hit the B flat and then go down on the low E string from the 9 to 7, so it's like. Then finally it resolves on an A. And I usually bend this note in the A, which is 6 on the G string. It is a C sharp, which is it a C sharp? Yeah, it's a C sharp, which is the middle note of the A. So it does that same thing that the C does, actually, where it's an A major that like bends to an A major, no, an A sus4. So it's like, this is like C sus4, and then this, it's like the same thing with an A. But it's got that kind of dissonant feeling because A major is not supposed to be in the key. It's like the key is F and A minor is in that key, but A major isn't in that key, so it sounds kind of wrong. But it's got that like kind of funky Western feeling when you go from an F to an A major. It's like the relationship between those two chords is something that pops up in a lot of like blues and folk music. So it's like, so that's kind of what's going on with the song. But that riff, that like F to C to B flat to A is what the entire verse is built around. They're played on different chords. There's this F major 7th shape that I kind of like just do a finger picking pattern on. then I just add the C in the bass, chords exactly the same. Switch up the picking pattern a little bit, honestly, just because it's hard for me to pick in the original pattern when I move to the C. So it's like... Then I'm just going to move through the keep moving through the chord progression, but only changing what I'm doing on the low E string. So moving from the C to a B flat, and then to an A. And that's going on through the entire verse, so it's just like... And you can notice once I get to the B flat and the A, I don't have space to put my finger on the B string anymore, so it goes from a chord with 4 notes to a chord with 3 notes. So I switch up the picking pattern, and instead of picking 8th notes, I'm picking triplets. So instead of like 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it's 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. And that's the verse, and that just repeats until the last repetition. Then I'm playing this, like, the A chord that still has the notes here, and instead of picking it, I strum it because it's leading into the chorus, so it's like, so it goes like, and then that goes into the chorus. I'll do the chorus in a second, but I just want to say 2 more things about the verse. One, the riff is kind of ripped from Stay Home by American Football, which I didn't realize until I wrote the song, but whatever, fuck it. It's like, Stay Home is... So it's not exactly the same, but it's a similar concept. I don't know, every riff is stolen. There are only 4 chords ever. Yeah, that's music in general. That's very besides the point. The other thing, which is actually more important to the song, is that I'm doing all this lead stuff during the verse. Ben is playing chords, and he's actually doing an interesting thing with the chords where he's... so the progression repeats 4 times. On the 1 and 3, he's playing the same chords that I'm picking. So like an F major 7th to C to a B flat to an A. But on the 2 and 4, he switches to a D minor instead of an F. So it's... So I'm playing the same lead part, but he's playing a D minor instead. And it just kind of adds an extra bit of texture to the song. So that's the verse. Verse, you know, it ends off on that A chord. And I'm gonna just hit the fuzz and play the chorus chords, which are like B flat, F, A, C, and I hit the fuzz and I do like a glider strum with the tremolo bar on the jazzmaster. When I play this with the jazzmaster, I do it. Sometimes I play it on a different guitar. The single version, I recorded on the jazzmaster because I wanted to have that glider strum. Oh yeah, I'm also playing with the pickup in the middle position because I'm using my orange amp, which I have EQ'd in the way that I like, but sometimes the jazzmaster gets a little too bassy, so I just, a lot of the time actually when I'm playing with like a venue amp or my like 100-watt amp that I take to gigs, I have it in the lead position, which is just a little more trebly, but I have this amp set up in a way that I like, so mid position's fine. But yeah, chorus. So yeah, chorus, not quite doing the full My Bloody Valentine glider strum. I'm just hitting the trem closer to the end of the bar, so it's kind of like this. Nope, that's the wrong chord. Okay. And I usually don't even do it that like staccato at the end. It's just like start strumming the chord, not doing trem at all, hit the trem like I guess, the second half of the bar, so it's like... So it's not, it's just adding some accent to the chord. It's not like the actual thing that's defining the sound of the chorus, it's just adding accent. Because if I did it throughout the chorus, it would kind of get too muddy. I think because these chords are bassier than the kind of riff you're usually supposed to do a glider strum with, which is like usually more trebly and usually with distortion rather than fuzz, at least from what I've like read about how people do that. Although you can do it, like Kevin Shields did it with fuzz a lot, so I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, that's the chorus. And from there it repeats like intro riff, verse, chorus again, and then the outro. So the outro fuzzes on the whole time, and I go back to the like those like 2-note chords from the intro, but instead of going through the entire progression, like the B flat and the A, for the rest of the song, I'm just going from the like after the C. I think Ben actually plays the full progression still at least a few times, so the kind of like chord guitar that's establishing the tone of the song is still playing the progression, but the lead guitar, the noisy stuff, is more simple. It's just kind of doing those 2 chords, which I don't know, I feel like kind of shifts the sound of the song from like, I don't know what you'd call like the main chord progression, but it's got like, you know, it's got more stuff going on, it's got more dissonance going on, but with just those 2 chords, it becomes more of like a straight up emo riff, where it's like... And when I hit the chords, when I hit the F, I'm strumming like really quickly, first of all. When I hit the F, I hit the bend really hard, so it's like... and then when I hit the C, I don't bend, I just kind of keep it as the C and the E. So that repeats for, I think, twice, and then there's like the drum break. What I do in the drum break is, I've got the Big Muff on, and I literally just hit one strum of the F, the F-E chord thing, and I bend the E up to an F, and then I hold it, and I have the sustain turned to full on my Big Muff because that's a jazzmaster trick. It's like always crank the sustain, so it tends to sustain for a decently long time, and then if I'm using a bigger amp, like at a live show, it will inevitably have like pretty good feedback as well. So that just sounds like... sustain that chord. Then when the drum break's over, I do that riff a couple more times, just the... The last couple times I do it, though, I switch up what I do in the E, so instead of just strumming these 2 notes, the E and the C, or the C and the E, I add the 7th fret on the G string, which is a D. So I go like... So I usually do that with fuzz, but I want to be able to talk. But I think what that does chord-wise is like C major, C sus2, C major. So it's just adding a little more texture to the chord. And then after that point is the solo, which I'll try and tab out as best I can, but that's with Big Muff. It's like A minor / C major scale, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I don't know. There's not much to explain with it. It's just like a solo with notes. One trick that I really like doing is the first part of the, or like, there's that first riff of the solo, which is like... and then I go back up to this like high E note, and I kind of hammer on the octave, like open string, and then the octave, so it sounds really good with fuzz, so it's like... And yeah, and then it's just like... and I guess like the melodic philosophy of a lot of what I'm doing there is like oscillating between really quick, just, you know, solo riffs, like... and then I'll hit a bend. I usually try and hit bends on notes where a one-note bend will be in the scale. It's hard to explain music theory because I don't actually know music theory. I like am mostly self-taught, but like for example, in the scale of C major, I don't know which kind of scale that is, but that's just C major. If you add a B and then bend it up to a C, it'll sound good because B is sort of in the scale. Like B is what makes a C major seventh, but it's not in like the main part of the scale. So like when I'm playing a solo, I'll try and add that B and then bend it up like... So that's like kind of what I think about in terms of bending. And then also just the classic, like bending a note on one string so that it matches the note you're playing on the next string. So, or, and I usually add some like pretty fast whammy stuff to that, which is another jazzmaster trick. So it sounds like... So that's the solo, and then the song ends. I just literally like play a chord and then fade out over the last couple bars. And yeah, that's it. That's in Zagreb on guitar. I enjoyed filming this and hope you all like the song. And yeah, comment if you have any questions. That's it for now. See you later.